everyone, my name is Jeanette Ramos and I'm the founder and CEO of It Takes a Village Housing. It Takes a Village Housing is a nonprofit organization geared towards helping mothers get the services that they need to raise their children. It's going to provide not only drug treatment services for our mothers, but mentors for our children, home economics for our mothers. This is going to be a one-stop shop that's going to provide for our families. Drugs and alcohol seem to be a big part of our society, and how we eradicate that will be based upon what we do for this population. We're always looking for donations. Help us out with those donations. Anything that you can give would be a great help. We're always looking for beds, we're looking for toiletries, we're looking for money, and anything that you can provide us would be of great help. So if you're willing to provide this population with a second chance at life, check out my website at ittakesavillage1.org, or you can email me at ittakesavillagemom@gmail.com. Here's to It Takes a Village Housing, and I look forward to meeting with each and every one of you.
You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Thank you for joining me, your hostess Dominique Rivera, the Oracle of Apollo, and you are watching Divine Encounters. It is Hump Day, and you guys already know what that means. We have another supernatural story time coming in for all of you to not disappoint. And remember, we are going to be checking in today on the Midweek Energy Collective reading. We're going to have an energy clearing. And if this is your first time, make sure you brought your high-quality H2O, because this is not a passive viewing experience, but one where you will be shifting your energy by the end of this feed. Shout out to everybody out there watching. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. It is always a pleasure. And before we get rolling, remember to your health, wealth, and prosperity. Yes, queens. All righty, so let's bring on our guest for today. We have Mr. Von Cleveland in the house, and he's going to be sharing his supernatural story time with you all today. But first, a little bit about him. So let's bring him on.
Thunder! Oh my goodness, thunder at the end of it. Loved it. That's amazing. How you doing?
It's like the hammer of Odin coming down.
I like it, although I don't think Odin had a hammer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thor had a hammer, but Odin definitely has thunder. Let's just be clear about that.
Sure, absolutely.
How are you doing today, sir?
I am freaking phenomenal. It is another beautiful, blessed day in the West Coast in California. I'm in Palm Springs. It's 109 degrees out right now. It's hot, but it's beautiful. I'm inside, so I'm air conditioned right now, but just a few feet to my right is hot heat. But other than that, it's a beautiful, beautiful, blessed day. I'm blessed to be alive, and I'm blessed to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. I know you do a lot of talking, so let everybody know at home who you are and what you do.
My name is Sonny Von Cleveland. I am a former rap metal vocalist out of Cleveland, Ohio, a former YouTube reactor and entertainer. And I am now a motivational speaker and a mindset coach and anti-bullying advocate with an organization, a nonprofit called buddhabullying.org. And most recently, a cat cafe owner, co-owner. My beautiful partner and I are opening up a cat cafe here in Palm Springs. It's called Frisky Business Cat Cafe, and it's a wonderful experience creating a new business. So I'm all about that. And outside of that, I'm just somebody that loves life and loves to give back and inspire other people.
Nice. Thank you. You know, it's interesting because I've watched quite a bit of your series that you've had on YouTube and all the social media platforms and things and such, but I never heard you speak on what we're going to be talking on today.
I like it. I never went down through there very much.
Right. So that's exciting. I like to start off every episode with raising the vibration with a card of the day. And so if everybody at home, if this is your first time watching, what I got to tell you is what's good? So usually I have my card box, but for some reason my second camera's not working today. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way.
It's my fault.
We have the Two of Emotions. Let's see if she will. Yes, there we go. If she will show us that card. We see two women here in the waters of emotions. We have two fish as well. It's almost like Pisces energy. It kind of gives me the vibe of that. So this is the meaning for this particular card today. The Two of Emotion offers a mutual attraction that leaves them floating helplessly in the waters of love and tumbling into the future together. All the feels. They find themselves on the same wavelength and possibly drawn to this connection that blossoms so easily. With emotions this synced, they know that this connection is one that will mean a lasting partnership. They are ready to commit their hearts for the long term. They collaborate, working and twisting together in ways that allows them to envision and create their blended reality. This pairing is available for you now and requires honest communication and total authenticity. So sink fearlessly into the realization that it's time to share yourself wholeheartedly with another. This is the one way to drift into love that is being offered. Allow your entangled hearts to do the rest. And then it has a poem. Entangled, enriched, souls perfectly pitched. As our spiral is hitched, new emotions bewitched. That's fun.
I like it.
How are you? You know what? I really like this card. It's already synchronized to what you were just saying about the cat cafe.
Yeah. Authenticity. That's the number one thing I grabbed out of that card. You know, authenticity is probably the single hardest thing for people to embody in life. Sherry McQueen is here. How you doing? It's been a minute. Good to see you.
Hola. And we have Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia. She's
Hi, Cynthia.
digging the mohawk.
Thank you so much. It's all got to be glued, man. This stuff is phenomenal. I put it in at 5 o'clock in the morning and I can still cut through concrete at 10 o'clock at night. I love it.
Hey, Erica. And I'm sure
Erica.
if you left it in for the next day, you'd still be able to have it in there because that thing is potent.
If I needed to, I definitely could, because I'm telling you, I could turn this into a weapon, man. Like I could wrap my hand on this thing. It's pretty good.
That's funny. So we like to start off. Hi, Luz. Thanks for being here. We like to start off before we get into the story time is elevating the collective vibration of everybody that is watching today. So I like to ask Sonny, where are you at energetically in this moment from 1 to 10? 1 being this is the least amount of energy I can have, and 10 the most amount of energy I can have. Where are you at in this moment?
Oh, I'm gonna go with like a 6.
6 is good. And everybody at home, put your comments right there in the comment bar. Where are you at now from 1 to 10? It's good to know where we are before we start, so that way we can reflect on what the aftermath is. All right. So while you guys are doing that, let's go ahead and wait for that for a moment. All righty. So the jury is in. Miss Erica says that she's at an 8.5.
Nice.
Nice and strong today. Sherry McQueen out of 7. Miss Cynthia also at a 7. And Luce is at a 4. I feel like I'm at a 9, but usually my vibe is usually pretty strong as the day to day, honestly. So it's very seldom that you'll catch me lower than an 8. All right, so we're going to go ahead into this mindfulness moment. If you guys have watched this before, you know that the bell signifies that your eyes are closing, feet are flat on the floor. And if this is your first time, same instructions for you. We're going to just take 60 seconds on the clock, and we're just going to breathe with the intention of the theme of the day, which was those two of emotions. So I'll be reading some keywords for you guys, and you're just going to breathe that in and breathe that out. So let's do the thing. 60 seconds on the clock now. Breathing in the energy of love and feel that in your body. As you're feeling that, notice if there's any resistance, discomforts, tension. Exhaling what no longer serves you. Breathing in relationships, friendships, romance, partnerships. All of these things can be entwined within love. Allow your field to expand so that you can connect to other people with the same vibrational frequency. Attracting soulmates of all kinds, mutual attractions, and catalysts for creative collaborations. Exhaling all limitations, old programmings, and disbeliefs that no longer serve you in this moment. On the next natural inhale, filling up your heart space. One more full expansion, bringing gratitude within. Letting that go. And we're going to just take this moment and thank ourselves for participating in this moment. And we're going to bring our left and our right palm to touch one another in the Namaste Gassho position. Namaste to everybody at home, and thank you for participating in this. You can come back now by opening your eyes. Make sure you guys don't stand, because after this, you can be lightheaded. And if you felt anything tingling, pressure, temperature changes, saw colors, had memories, or had any kind of release, let me know in the comment section below. And where are you at energetically now after your 1 minute calibration numerically? Sonny, that is
better.
Better.
Yeah, probably. Well, there's a unique thing with me when it comes to energy. I like to harness energy and use it at my will. I don't know how far into the energy work you guys go, but I do energy work on my own. And I'm ADHD, and I have a lot of energy. And so if it goes unchecked, it leads me into making impulsive decisions or rash decisions that I may later regret. Not that I regret anything, because I don't regret anything, because everything that happens was supposed to happen. But you know what I mean? It could lead you into an irrational decision and cloud your judgment. So I consciously ground myself and keep my energy low, except for a time when I feel like it's appropriate to unleash that energy or use it. And so, and I felt like in this situation, that 60 seconds, that was really good. It was really powerful. So I'm like, you know what? I can lend some of that energy out. So I'm up. I'm up right 8.5 right now. Killing it. I'm rocking out with Erica Vargas right now at an 8.5.
Love it. I love it. For me, I felt a lot of opening in my heart center. I felt opening in my third eye. And I actually feel like my willpower center, my solar plexus is activating at this moment, but I feel also very grounded. And I'm going to say I'm at a 9.6, but like calm, like a Taurus, like really earthy, really grounded. That's how I'm feeling right now.
I like it.
Miss Erica said grounding herself now because she got lightheaded. This is why it's a good idea not to stand after this. But she's feeling 10 plus.
I like it.
10 across the board. Miss Cynthia says her lower left leg went completely numb. That's very interesting.
Make sure you're not sitting on a remote or something.
What happened?
I said, make sure you're not sitting on a remote or something, because that tends to happen.
Something can be pinching the energy there, Cynthia. Oh, that's interesting. Mr. Angelo says, hello. Hi, Angelo. Thanks for being here.
What's up, Angelo?
And Cynthia's guessing your sign. She says you must be a Libra.
No, I am a full-on Cancer.
Did you ever find out what your moon and rising were?
I did not.
I think you should investigate that.
I may have to. It's been a lot of people think because of the lion and the lions, because I love lions. I'm a huge fan of lions, and I'm a Leo, but I'm not. I'm a Cancer. I just happen to adore lions.
I think if you looked at your chart, you'd probably have more fire energy in there than you thought you did.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I haven't done a whole lot into astrology or any of the astrological signs and charts. I've done a little bit, but not a lot of it. I've gotten into like crystals a lot lately, and that's really cool. Went out to Sedona, in
Sedona.
Arizona. And there's some magical places out there, man. It's really good. And so got into that a little bit. And hey, I'm exploring a little bit, but it's a very busy life, so I don't have a whole lot of time to invest into investigating stuff. So
Understood. Yeah, because our sun signs, which is our birth chart sign, that sign that you represent as Cancer, that's basically who you aspire to be. And then your moon sign is telling you who you are emotionally. And then your rising sign is your soul. We'll say, like, when you arrive at a party, how people perceive you is because of your soul sign. So that would be your rising sign.
Is there a party sign?
That is it. That's the party sign. That's pretty much it right there.
That's me. I walk into a place, let's liven this puppy up.
Sherry McQueen says pressure in her solar plexus. And she's up to an 8.5. Good release. Namaste, Sherry McQueen.
The divine light in me sees the divine light in you.
That's right. Miss Lou says, ooh, I can feel this pressure traveling from the back going up the neck. The neck and the back are areas that deal with threats, and the upper back deals with past. So these are things that your body's holding on to. Our bodies hold on to trauma in different places. And I thought it was interesting about Cynthia's leg too, because the legs are the things that propel us forward. So we're going to have to talk about that in our next session. Luce is at a 6.
I like it.
And Cynthia's hype about the Sedona, the vortexes.
Hey, those vortexes are crazy. It's a cool thing.
I have not personally been. I have to check out these vortexes.
Yeah, you do. It's you can feel the earth breathe, basically. It's like you can just lay down and close your eyes and literally feel the earth breathe. And it's like, it's incredible. It makes you realize just how small you are in the world, and like how infinitesimal that we are. And like, it just helps you release stuff, man. Like so many of our problems are just so small, and yet we turn them into mountains. We make mountains out of them, and they're life blocking problems that don't have to be. They don't have to be there. And we just don't know how to process them. We don't know how to get past them. And so that's kind of where I've taken my specialty in learning that and teaching it to people.
Understandable. You're releasing. That's why you're clearing.
Yeah, I'm trying. All of a sudden, I can't breathe.
That is a form of release, my friends. All right. So you are here because you're the man of the hour, and you have a supernatural story to share with us today. And I'm excited because I haven't heard this story yet. So I hope you guys at home are excited. Get your water, get your popcorn. We're about to get it. From the beginning.
Okay. Well, I mean, basically, it's how I came to be what we call an asatruar. I am a practicing Odinist, which is the religion of the Vikings that originated in Denmark, in the Scandinavian countries, and so I grew up. My mother was big into the Bible and took us to church quite a bit. Although there was never any type of pull for me, I felt like it was some kind of spiritual thing, and I had no pull to or from it. I didn't like or dislike religion. I went to church a few times, and it was just really kind of boring to sit and listen to people. And so when I went to prison, I went to prison when I was 16 years old. And just for a little context on that, I grew up a victim of horrible sexual molestation. I was molested by 4 different men from the time I was 5 years old until I was 10. And because of that, I lashed out behaviorally because I didn't know how to process this as a child. And so I lashed out and broke the law. I was charged with a felony at the age of 7. And I kind of fell in love with the attention from the police officers because they were like men that didn't want to hurt me. And so I continued down that path of catching felonies because I didn't know how to process my emotion even after the abuse was over. And then I went to prison at 16. And it was interesting because when I was on my way to prison, sitting in the county jail, that's kind of where like religion started for me. That was where, most people that go through that situation find God. Oh, God, help me. And we start praying to Jesus to make everything right and forgive me and do all this and just help me get out of this situation and I'll never do this again. And I quickly came to learn the power of manifestation because I prayed to God that you would not send me to the hard boot camp, because I thought the boot camp would be really hard. Instead, just let me go to prison. And sure as hell, that happened. But it wasn't God that did it. It was my intention. And I learned that when I got there, probably, I don't know, a few years later, I learned like you have the power of manifesting. You can speak something into it. If you believe something's going to happen, you literally, once you learn how to remove the blockades that are in your psyche, you can unleash the power of the universe, and the power of the universe is in your hands. So during the first time, I did 2 separate bits. I did 5 years when I was 16 years old. I did 5.5 years, got out when I was 21, went back when I was 23 until I was 35. I found God in that first 5.5 years. I started studying the Bible and started reading about Jesus. This is where I fell in love with Jesus. I got tattoos of Jesus. This is the 5 wounds on Jesus Christ. This is Joshua 24:15 from the Old Testament. So I really started to study the Bible, and I was like, you know what? This is amazing. This is amazing. But it didn't change who I was. I was still a very violent, angry, a young man. I was a gangbanger. I took my anger out on everybody else. I didn't give a shit about anybody or anything, just what I could get. And being in the prison environment, they trained me basically to be a savage. And then they released me when I was 21. And I was just havoc in the world. And there was God didn't come in and intervene. Jesus didn't speak to me or touch my heart. None of that. I was savage. And so I ended up back in prison. And then the first 2 years that I was back in prison, when I first went back, God's done with me. Like, well, we're done. Like, he and I broke up. We had a breakup. I'm like, I don't think this is going to work out. You know what I mean? You're not kind of giving me what I need. So we went our separate ways. And I discovered runes once. And I was somewhere in my bit, and I saw a buddy of mine that had a book, and it had runes on it. And I was like, what in the hell are those? And he told me they were runes, and it was about the Viking religion and Odinism. And I was like, well, what the hell is that? So he gave me a book to read called Taking Up the Runes. And I read the book, and I was fascinated by it. I'm like, this is amazing, where it talks about Thor and Odin and the frost giants and Bragi and Balder and Frey and Freya. And I'm like, this is incredible stuff. But it's like a story. I don't really see much faith here, but it's a really cool story, and I really like it. And then he had told me the best way to learn the spiritual and religious side of Asatru is to study Christianity. And I'm like, well, I've done all of that. I've studied the hell out of it. And so he said, no, study a little bit more. Thank you so much, Jeanette. You're amazing. And so I started to really delve down into the Bible and the Old Testament. Again, this time not from a blind religious perspective, but from a studying perspective. I wanted to study the Bible alongside secular manuscripts that broke things down that you might not necessarily understand, because
it's interesting that you say that, Sonny. I don't want to interrupt you, but I've been told before that sometimes when we see these scriptures in the Bible, that they're like a robot. It's like they're dead language. It's like a dead energy written in script. And it's not until we find spirituality within ourselves and have that experience, because religion is a story from someone else and spirituality is the experience that we're living, is that when those words can then come alive and be almost translated into the language that you're now speaking.
Sure. So most people, when it comes to studying the Bible or Christianity or any religion for that matter, they go in with a predisposition that this is the work of God. And so when you start to read the Bible thinking it's the word of God, you automatically absorb what they were trying to get you to absorb. You're thinking that these are words directly from God's mouth to whoever's ears that scribbled it down in a book. And you're like, oh, this is divine. But when you take a secular approach and you get other manuscripts that aren't necessarily religious, and then you study the Bible in next to these things, you start to realize, like, wait a minute, that's the Epic of Gilgamesh. Wait a minute. They said the same thing in the Tao Ching. They said the same thing in Buddhism. Wait a minute. And those predate Christianity by many, many years. And so when I start to see that, then I come back to the Viking religion called Asatru. And you start to, which is true to the Aesir. And you start to realize there's a culture to it because there's some Viking culture. And when you look back on Viking culture and you see these people had an amazing way of life. The stories that are written in the books, like by Snorri Sturluson and the Elder Edda, the Prose Edda, the Poetic Edda, these are stories that they would tell their children sitting around campfires to keep their faith alive. Before science, before technology, you had a massive ice storm that came on and wiped out half your village. You didn't know what to call it. You didn't know science. You didn't know that it was a cold front coming through. So they called it a frost giant. It's a frost giant. And thunder and lightning are heat. They come from rain. Scientifically, they don't know that. They don't know that the atmospheric temperature rises and the atmosphere thickens, allowing sun rays to bounce back down and the earth heats up, which causes precipitation, and thunder and lightning come. So the thunder and lightning come and the frost leaves. So in order to reiterate that to the kids, well, that's Thor. That's the god Thor. He controls thunder and lightning. He came down and fought the frost giants. And so to keep that concept alive of what's happening in the universe that we don't understand, they made it a story. Right. And they continue to tell these stories through everything that they've seen in life. And they just took on their own life. And even through like the whole creation account, how everything's created, how Odin slew the giant Ymir and made the world from Ymir's body and his skull. And we go through and we see these correlations to Christianity. And that's how I started to really delve into the spiritual side of Asatru. And then you realize there was actually a man named Odin who walked the earth and who started to learn things. He became wise spiritually, and he started to sacrifice, and he went through trials that most people don't go through to learn things and manifest things. And you can unlock power and tap into spiritual power that most of us don't even believe exists because it's too much for our little minds to comprehend. Mm-hmm. And so the farther that I got into that, I'm like, this is incredible. And there's runic work and runic chants called Gulder. And there's these practices that you can do that alleviate stress and anxiety and depression, and any common human ailment you can think of was able to be cured through a lot of the Gothies. And the Gothies are what you would be in Viking time. You know, they're the spiritual leaders of the communities that know how to tap into spirituality. And they were the ones that taught the village and taught the people the spiritual side of the faith, and they worshiped their gods. We didn't see the gods as somebody that we fall and bend a knee to and worship. We stood beside our gods. Our gods need us just as much as we need them, because they're not some gods that are up there. But if we don't keep them alive, they don't keep us alive. Everybody just disintegrates. So the stories aren't, and that's what turns a lot of people off. A lot of people think, oh, they talk about giants and hammers and all that, but it's a metaphor. And when they look deeper into that metaphor, then you start to see the spiritual side of it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful faith. It's a beautiful civilization. It's amazing.
So as you started to learn about this and adapt it into your own life, what was the reaction or response from the people around you about this?
Well, and here's the thing. I love Jesus. I'm telling, Jesus was an amazing human being. And the number one thing that I took away from the teachings of Christ was that religion and faith is between you and God.
Yeah.
Period. It's nobody else's business. Jesus Christ never prayed in public. If you read the Bible, he always went off by himself. I'm going to go off and pray. He went to the Garden of Gethsemane and went off and prayed by himself. He went to a home to pray by himself. He never prayed publicly. He may have orated publicly and worked miracles publicly, but he never prayed to God publicly. You do that by yourself. And so the one thing that I took away from that was that it's between you and your God. And so for me, especially with the Viking religion in prison, it can be bad because there's a lot of racist idiots that will try to jump on that because Hitler used a swastika, and a swastika, which is a Buddhist symbol of love,
symbol and harmony. Yeah.
And harmony, right. But the Odinists had a similar looking symbol, which represented Thor's hammer in motion. It was the Willow runes put together, and it represented motion and force. And so they take that and they've just completely defiled the faith and turned it into some kind of white power religion. And it's sad. So most of it was by myself. I studied by myself. I was a solitary practitioner. I was by myself. I studied. There were a few guys that I interacted with, and we would study together and test each other because we're big on the Viking religion is huge on testing each other out. And
what do you mean by testing each other out?
And so there's a thing called flighting. It's an old Viking pastime where you kind of roast each other. But there was another aspect of it where it's not just roasting each other in a stanza form, like it's a poetic form where you kind of rhyme the words. It's like battle rapping almost. But there's another side to it where Odin, who went to test out his wisdom against the giant Thrudgelmir. Was it Thrudgelmir? No, Vafthrudnir in the poetic book Vafthrudnismal. He went to test out the wisdom against this giant, and their heads were at stake. So it was a matter of asking questions about the history of the world, and whoever could not answer lost their head. And so we do that quite often to keep each other sharp. We'll have a flighting, and if you lose, we have some type of consequence, but it's obviously not your head anymore. But we would have a consequence, and so it keeps you sharp, right? You're battling your wits, and you ask people like, what was the name of Thor's hammer, which we all know is Mjolnir, but what's Odin's spear's name?
It starts with a Y, right?
Not even close. No.
What is it?
It's Gungnir.
Oh, okay. It wasn't American Gods. They did have that on there in American Gods. As your reception is lost and I'm stuck here all by my lonesome. So we're going to wait for him to come back on. But if you guys have never seen American Gods, they talk about Odin as the All-Seer, the Father, Wednesday. He has so many different names. And I think it's very interesting that Sonny's bringing up this topic because that's pretty much what gravitated me towards him because my spirit guide is Odin. In tarot, Odin is represented as the hangman because what happens is he's hanging on the world tree upside down for 9 days. And that is allowing him to gain the wisdom from hanging on that tree, on the world tree. Here we are. You're back. As he got kicked off again. And in his quest for seeking knowledge, Odin actually gave up a sacrifice. And that is kind of like symbolic that we too must give of ourselves sacrificially in order to gain the wisdoms that are meant for us to receive. I just ran the comment screaming, it's Gungnir! And he gave up his left eye for that. Very, very interesting topic for sure today. So I'm really excited to see where this story goes and how it's melded into life. You know, for myself, you guys know I follow the Grecian version of this, which would be Apollo, and that's the sun god. So I think it's interesting how we're talking about mythology tonight in regards to Viking, and I'm all the way on the other side of the world, Greek side. And a few weeks ago, I actually saw in a vision Freya. She's also from the Viking methodology or Viking system. And she's a war goddess. You know, it's interesting that a lot of the deities that were goddesses of war over time were changed to make them. He's in one of the oracle decks. Yeah, he's in my oracle deck too. And they changed them to fertility goddesses. There used to be all of these war goddesses that were then later changed in history before Catholic religion and Christianity came in, that they kind of like subdued the women. I think it was just to make us feel less empowered, as if a woman couldn't have a birthing and a destructive side, because one can be benevolent and be a destructive force. The same way you can go into a forest and have a burn and burn some of the trees there, brushing away all of the old brush so that way new life can enter. So destruction is not malevolent. And I feel like through history, they kind of like suppressed women in that way. So that's very interesting, very, very interesting to me. How are you guys feeling about this topic right now? I'm actually looking for some runes so I can show you guys what runes look like. If you've never seen runes before, they are basically like these little power sigils. They're very abstract, and they each come with different meanings to them. And when you tattoo a rune on your body, and I saw that Sonny had several runes on his, what you're doing is that you're actually encoding your DNA with the energy of that particular rune. I personally don't have any runes on my body, but I have done tattoo rituals where I have channeled particular runes or talisman energies and into other people's bodies and engraved them with them. And Angelo actually has one of those on his foot and his wrists, if I recall. So that's what I remember from that particular situation. Yeah, I don't see my runes right now, but if I do find them later, I will post a picture of them in the comment section below. And you know what's interesting too is that as he was talking about how the philosophies kind of like match the Christian faith, it's like I feel like there were so many different cultures in the world. How could the message be the same when we all spoke different languages? How could, like overall, the sentiment was similar, but the stories that unfolded, pectogif looking. Yes, for sure. But I feel like the sentiment there is the same. Oh, I think he's back.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you all the way from the sky.
I legitimately had to go into my office and reset. I don't know what happened. My Mac just decided it didn't want to work anymore.
The Odin force was too strong in this one.
Right. And so now I've had to go run back to my office, and my office is crammed and packed with a bunch of crap because all the cat cafe stuff is in here. Let me see if I think I'm good though.
No, you're good. You're perfect.
And now we're back.
And now you're
sorry
back.
About that.
No, it's okay. You had I think it added to the suspense of the story, if anything.
And I forgot where I was at.
We talked about the testing of one another and each other's boundaries. How do you feel like overall this religion or this faith has impacted you? And why do you have runes tattooed on you?
So runes are sources of energy. First and foremost, when you know how to properly cast a rune, it can unleash some energy. It can unleash power and force. And so some bind runes have special meanings. Like I have bind runes here, and I have runes in and throughout. I have runes all over, and they just instill energy. Angelo says, I just ran into the comment screaming, it's Gunir.
Yeah. That's my buddy. He loves it.
I love it. No, it's there's so much power in runes, but you have to be careful, right? There's the Gothies rune. I like it.
I'm just going to show these while you're talking about them.
Sowilo, right there. That is the power of the sun. I can tell you all these. I'm a rune guru. And so we also have this 9-day testing ritual. When you are ready to commit yourself to Odin, which it's very deep and it's very serious, not to be taken lightly. It's a very serious thing. And so you sacrifice for 9 days because Odin sacrificed himself for 9 days, and the wind-torn trees sacrificed himself to himself, spear pierced with Gungnir through his side to obtain the wisdom of the runes. And so when you feel that you are at the point in your life where you want to commit to Odin, you take a 9-day rite, and here's your wheel, and you earn one of these runes each day, and then they basically tell a path and they give you a pass. So I sacrificed speaking for 9 days, eating normal food for 9 days. I would exercise so you have 9 different things that you commit to for 9 days.
Did you communicate at all for those 9 days? Did you write? Did you sign?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I would be able to communicate with you. I just didn't use my voice. I wanted to sacrifice the power of my voice to heighten my other senses and my ability to communicate non-verbally. And so it's a very powerful event because you suffer. Like you suffer and you go through a lot. Like I'm only eating 1 time a day, and it was not normal food. It's like bread and water. And you suffer, but in suffering, when you learn how to find calm and peace in suffering, and you can do that through runic meditation, runic chanting called Gulder. You tap into another level of spirituality and learn how to handle yourself, how to take care of things, self-preservation, self-reliance, we call it, is one of the biggest tenets of Asatru, because we don't ask the gods for anything that we can do ourselves. And we go to the gods when there's something that we can't handle. That's when we set up our stali or our altar, and that's when we bring the gods into our presence and ask for their favor. But they don't do that just because I need a new car or I gotta pay my rent. You know what I mean? Or I'm hungry. It's for things that you can't handle. And that's not a lot. Most things you can handle, whether you know it or not. You can handle most things. And so that's kind of my little spiritual journey.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I really like all of these perspectives. And I'm grateful that you were able to share that with us. And so much energy just came down. Actually got like super high right there for a second. Yeah, that's an Odin blessing. I'll take it.
Right. Odin was like, here you go. There you go.
I like what you guys are talking about. Here's a little, I'm loving it. So let everybody know at home, the websites that you were talking about earlier, what you're working on right before we send you off in the back when we do our midweek collective.
So you guys can go to friskybusinesscatcafe.com right there and check out what we're doing over at the Cat Cafe. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and we do live updates every week on Facebook. And you can watch the building of this amazing cat cafe. It's an incredible endeavor that we're doing. We're partnered with the Palm Springs Animal Shelter to help get as many cats adopted as we can. There's over 20,000 homeless cats in the Coachella Valley, and we're doing our best to try to help them find forever homes. On the other half, here, BooToBullying.org. I'm an ambassador for a nonprofit organization called Boo to Bullying. 42.5% of kids report being bullied between the ages of 5 and 14. And it's so sad with what is going on in our schools. And it's preventable. It's preventable. It takes awareness and it takes people to speak up. We can easily prevent these things from happening. Like right now with the school shootings and things that are going on in the world, kids are scared, right? And they need adult leadership to come in and show them that the chances of a school shooting are so very small and very rare. We just see it a lot more because of social media, and they need that guidance and they need help. Thank you so much, Jeanette. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. So go to BooToBullying.org, get involved. It takes a freaking village, as Jeanette would say. It takes a village.
Takes a village
to save these kids, but we're all they got. Like if we don't, I used to blame millennials for being millennials, and then I learned like it's not millennials' fault that they are the way they are. It's the parenting philosophy of the millennials that made them that way, because we gave everybody a trophy. We gave everybody gets to win. And so you stifled the pride in of the champion, and you embarrassed the last place kid who got a ribbon anyway, and he's embarrassed. And then they grow up in this filter driven social media society, and this is just who they are. And then when they turn 18 and they leave home, they come out to the real world and realize like, not everybody gets a trophy. If you don't bust your ass, you don't get a raise. You don't get a promotion. Everybody doesn't win. And they don't know what to do. They lose their identity. And so this is just another part of Buddha bullying. We go on every level and talk to kids. We went to a school about a month ago, Oscar Romero, Monsignor Middle School in LA. Talked to about 300 kids, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It was amazing to see them absorbing that knowledge and wisdom. It's such a fulfilling thing, and I love it.
Well, thank you for so much for everything that you're contributing and everything that you're giving back into the world. The world needs more people like you for sure. And thank you. I'm going to pop you in the back while we do our midweek collective energy check-in, and we'll bring you back for some final thoughts.
I love it.
All right. All right, here's the midweek collective energy check-in, and let's see what is on the horizon for this week. Very interesting. We're going to be starting off here with the High Priestess card, tapping into that energy, that which is your innate wisdoms is what the High Priestess brings forward. This is about you tapping into your inner magic, your inner knowing, your inner cunning, your inner challenges. This is your devotion to yourself, something that which is greater than you. These are your skills. This is your uniqueness coming forward, using those talents and skill sets. That way you can allow yourself to shine brighter so that you can overcome a challenge, as we've been talking about this evening. With this card comes give without expectation. When we give without expectation, we are not manipulating an outcome, but what we are doing is we are calibrating to the resonance of the vibrational frequency of the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is like the law of gravity. It just is. Okay, so calibrate, not manipulate when this card is arising to the horizon. We have here the Knight of Pentacles. This knight is the slowest knight in all of the suits of knights. This can mean that a project or something has either slowed down or come to halt. What I want to say about that is that worry is a wasted emotion. And then when we see that something is out of our control, we need to recalibrate ourselves, reframe our mindset, and focus on what we actually can control, because there's always going to be circumstances or situations outside of ourselves that we can't do anything about. So when in doubt, bring your focus and attention towards the things that you can control and take action. And while you're taking that action, you'll start to see how everything else begins to fall in place. Here we have from my new deck, the Golden Girls deck. Shout out to one of my clients for bringing this up to me last week. We have the Nine of Wands. We have Sophia here. We've gone through the battle. We've gone through the hardships, but we're still standing. Regardless of what we've been through, we are still here looking forward. She has that little wand propping her up there. We're still moving forward. We're not letting anything stop us from achieving our greatest goal, because if you are here and you are watching this, it's because you are here for a purpose. So act with purpose. The next card up is the Five of Fire, competing goals, bothersome details, conflict with others. This card could also represent challenges that are not malevolent, but more like to uplift you. This could be fun. This could be a fun challenge where everybody in the same group is trying to get to the same goal. But allow yourself, regardless of what this challenge is, fun or difficult, allow yourself to harness the lessons within this challenge. And if you feel like there are too many things on your plate, then use this moment to recognize maybe some of those things have to come off of your plate. What no longer serve you? What is not digesting in your life? All right, so take a look at your plate and see what can come off. Ooh, next card we have is Kali, Kalima. I love her. Endings and beginnings. We are in this super moon energy kind of coming out of, it was yesterday, but it's still here for the next 2 days. She is saying the old must be released so that the new can enter. And this reminds me of that Odin being on the world tree for those 9 days, and he's accepting what is coming to him. But the only way he can accept those new things, that information with the runes, was to sacrifice an aspect of himself or sacrifice something that no longer served him. And that's kind of like what I'm doing right now on my way to Texas. I am sacrificing this for that which I know will be better. We have Miss Pandora coming up from my pantheon, and she is bringing the energy of hope. Also, the pomegranate energy is a symbol of hope. I really, really like this, because even when we're going through a tumultuous time, and we can't see the light for at the end of the tunnel. Within this box, Pandora's box, although all the negative, all the diseases, all the ailments of everything that is in existence, all the suffering came out of this box because she was tricked into opening this box. At the bottom, she found hope, and nobody could account that it was there to even begin with. So I like this card because it's kind of like saying, expect the unexpected. You can't see everything, and there are going to be many things that surprise you. The totem animal for the midweek is the eagle. Create your vision. I feel like tapping into that high priestess energy, working through with the knowing that you are working towards something, is going to allow you to create with vision. The eagle soars higher than any of the other birds, and it has 4 sights, okay? It can see its prey in a very long distance and uses energy when and only when it is needed. And finally, we have the angel blessing for the evening, which is Angel Cassiel, bringing the collective the energy of grace. And make sure you're claiming your angel blessings there in the comment section below, because angels always want to work with you, but they respect your free will. They have to be called upon. You have to ask them to come in. And I hope that resonates with you. And if it does, let me know in the comment section below. Yeah. All right, let's bring up Sonny for his final thoughts on this reading.
I love it. That was an amazing little rundown through on some of those cards, the eagle. But my biggest thing, they have a Golden Girls deck.
They do. They
That's
have a Golden
amazing.
Girls deck, and it's marvelous and amazing, and I think everybody should get it.
I love the Golden Girls. That's crazy. That's crazy that they have a deck. I love it. I think that we manifest all of these things, and if you put your focus into them and you stay true to them and focus them, you'll manifest them. And they can, if you understand what's being put out and you interpret it, you spend time and study it. Like I meditate every day. Meditate on that stuff and just center yourself, find that space, and man, your life can be so good and happy. And that's what we're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to live life to be happy. You're supposed to have a joyous life. And
that's all of our purpose, I believe, for sure, is to be here and to be in joy. And the thing is that when we're in that state of pleasure and we're in that state of happiness and we're in that state of bliss, we actually continue to send out that vibrational frequency forward, and we attract more things that are similar. Facts.
We 100%. You know what? The life that you live is the life that you tell yourself that you want, whether you know it or not. If you wake up in the morning and you say, man, this day sucks, this is going to suck going out, and this job's going to suck, guess what? It's going to suck. Yep. If you think it's going to suck, it is going to suck because you've manifested it. You can wake up with the same energy and say, today's going to be amazing. There's going to be so many opportunities for me today. I'm going to live the life of my dreams. I'm going to do exactly what I was put here to do and be happy doing it. And that's what's going to happen.
Whether you believe it's going to suck, it will suck. Whether you believe it can be successful, it will succeed. Because I don't believe that there is no failure. There is just recalibration to whatever that particular thing is. And we have, even within our most difficult suffering, and you guys have heard Sonny kind of touch a little bit on that, even with our most difficult suffering, there's still blessings and lessons within them that we can take away and enhance not just our own lives, but then give that as wisdom, because now it's earned experience, because words do not teach us. Experience teaches us. And then it becomes this innate knowing inside of ourselves that we can then give to other people.
100%. I went through some really bad stuff a year and a half or so ago, and some of you that were there, and some of you have seen I manifested that. I manifested because I wasn't living my authentic life. I was with somebody I did not want to be with. I wasn't happy. I put my focus and emotion into making somebody else happy, and when you do that, other people are happy, but you're not. Right. And then when you break away from that and you start living your authentic self, your new life will cost you your old one. Well, no matter what, if you want to build something better, it's going to cost you the shit what made your life not good. To have a good life, you got to get rid of the things that were not making your life good. And some of them are hard choices. They're hard decisions because some people you're attached to. You attach emotion to people, right? And you're loyal, and you don't want to be seen as somebody that's not loyal. But again, I don't care how I'm seen. I don't live my life for other people's viewing pleasure. My life is lived for my destiny and my purpose. And my purpose is to teach. We are all born for each other. We either teach or we tolerate. I'm not a tolerator. I'm a teacher. And that's what I'm here for. And that's, I've embraced that calling in my life and lived my most authentic self. And here we are.
And here we are. And with that, I actually have one question for you that I know you're going to answer very quickly here. So here's the very difficult question of the day. Let's do it. This is your question, sir, for you today to answer.
I am a person that was put on the earth to serve and leave it better than I found it, and do my absolute best to leave a legacy that anyone who has interacted with me can benefit from. That anybody who has spent any time with me, I've done something to make you feel better about yourself or have inspired you to reach for more and not settle. Because I believe my life is an example of tragedy giving way to triumph. I fully believe that everything I've ever gone through has led me to where I am. And I'm that's exactly who I am. I'm a teacher. I'm blessed. I am beyond blessed. I mean, and I'm going to drop this bomb real quick. After 26 years, I found my father.
Yes.
And I have an amazing relationship with him now at this point. Like, we talk almost every day. It's an amazing relationship. And that came because I cleared the rest of my stuff out of my life. And I was able to focus on the things that I want. And I wanted a relationship with my father, and I've got it. I found it. And so that's who I am. And that's who I will continue to be.
I couldn't have said it better myself, friend. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your beautiful divine light, and for being here. And we're going to wrap this show up with mucho amor. Do you or someone you know experience something supernatural that has left a positive impact on yourself or the lives of others? Want to share your story on our show? Please email Divine Encounters at e360tv.com. And together, let's create divine experiences. And now, the Oracle's final thoughts con mucho amor. So I feel like what I learned today from Sonny was all about how our experience can uplift us, how the things that we thought were going to defeat us can be the catalyst and propel us forward like rockets aiming to the stars. I think that is so beautiful. I also challenge everybody at home after hearing this story of what is it that you have to surrender? What is it that you have to sacrifice maybe for 9 days, and see what can come through you if you were to let that go? And are you willing to let go of your old life if you knew that you were being divinely guided and supported, that you knew you had everything it took inside of you, that you knew you were strong enough and capable enough to succeed? And when you felt like it was too much, and when you felt like it was too heavy, that you can count on your guides who are there with you to take the excess off of your shoulders. So interesting. I know I feel like I can, and going through these next few stages of my life that I know will be difficult, and that surrender is where I will find the peace and the blessing and the love and the joy. And ultimately, through every transition that I've been through, I know it will be absolutely worth all of the grief, because the laughter, the love, the happiness will always taste more sweeter than any bitterness that you've ever had in your life, because that is the flavor you will remember. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. I hope that you guys can come check me out Sunday night when I bring all of your horoscopes here on Divine Encounters at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. May you all go in love, light, and wisdom to know thyself, to love thyself, and remember the divine always has your back. Ciao.
Everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels so much, just hold on. Just call me.